Good people, this is the channel that will be detailing some of the human being organs, to be precise, all the organs. So our first topic, we decided to choose the menstrual cycle, reason being that is how a human being is formed. The heart that we find within the existence of a human being, it is formed because of this uterine cycle. So our first topic, it will be menstrual cycle, menstrual cycle. Where is this cycle taking place? That's the question that everyone is asking. Within the uterus. Where do you find the uterus within a female? So this particular menstrual cycle is taking place within the uterus. So we can also call this the uterine cycle. Uterine cycle. Is this two component that the cycle is taking place, or do we have any other component of that is part of this cycle? Of course, we do have, we know that this cycle has to do with follicles. Follicles exist within ovums. For that reason, we're going to detail another component called the ovarian cycle. Ovarian cycle. This actually is one topic, but the process differ, of course. So I'm going to detail each and every diagram of this so that you can understand. We said earlier on that this cycle is taking place within females, but all females or what? No, not a 10-year girl can go under this particular process. It is not possible. The follicles will not be matured because the hormones are not there to do so. So we are going to be considering on girls to women at the age of 13. That this is where this cycle starts. It starts at the age of 13, and then it will end at age 50. This is how this cycle is taking place. It starts on age 13, on which it will happen to everybody. Let me say everybody with no complications will go under this cycle. We do find people who are born normally without their uterus. So I will also explain that later. So now we know that this cycle is taking place within females at the age of 13, and then it will stop at the age of 50. So the question is that now, do animals go under this particular cycle? The answer is yes, but we must change the name in the topic. Instead of menstrual, we will write estrous cycle. Estrous cycle, let me choose a giraffe for instead. We have 4 weeks within 1 month. 2 weeks giraffe go under this cycle, and 2 weeks is waiting for fertilization. A human being go under this cycle for 28 days. But the menstrual cycle, to be precise, it will be 7 days. The ovarian, it will be 14 days. So that is why I say all this cycle, I will document them here so that we can understand them clearly. During menstruation, what is happening? We are losing blood. Now, let's first understand how many liters of blood that can carry your body, can carry the entire 70 organs, 78 organs that are existing within your human being. We understand that a human being have whether male or female, but we have 5 liters of blood. We understand that we have 5 liters of blood. So this particular menstrual cycle has a negative impact of this blood, but on females at the age of 13, and then those who are below 50, not above. Now we understand that we are going to lose about 30 to 40 mils of, of blood during this process. during this process. Do you understand now what is happening? Menstrual cycle has to do with blood. We are losing blood, but the human being have 5 liters of blood. Think about 30 to 40 mils of blood. That's not much. But we shouldn't, by nature, we shouldn't be losing blood. But because this is a natural process, and then humans can give up 30 to 40 mils of blood from their 5 liter. They will recover that through the nutrients, through the ions, and then through life itself. So what is happening within menstrual cycle? What is menstrual cycle? The definition for menstrual cycle is the tearing off of the endometrium layer in preparation for the next cycle. So how can I show you the menstrual cycle? I will give you the diagram that has to do with the menstrual cycle, that has to do with the uterine cycle, that has to do with the ovarian cycle. Let me rather start with the ovarian cycle. I know that I will have something like this here. Then I have those. You know, in biology, every time a drawing changes direction, there must be a name for this. Otherwise, it shouldn't change. And then I do that again, because according to mathematics, what is happening on the left, it should also happen on the right. So this is your ovum. This is your ovum. This cycle, the second one, has to do with this area here, the ovums. That's why we call it. Let me be precise. This ovarian cycle has to do with this cycle. That's why we call this ovum, because it's in a singular form. I didn't say ovaries because now I'm talking about one ovum. Now we know the process of ovarian cycle must take place only inside this thing. Once it releases this egg to fall into the fallopian tube, it is no longer, it has nothing now to do with the ovarian cycle. Now we have our uterine cycle. The uterine cycle has to take place inside the fallopian tube, inside inside the layer of the endometrium, on the surface of this layer. The menstrual cycle also has to take place on the surface of the endometrium. Let me rather give you a graph quickly. This is our graph. First day, we know we have day 1. In the middle, we know we have day 14. And then at the end, we have day 28. When you see numbers, you must know that I'm speaking about days. But the question is, what is happening between day 1 to day 14? Is there anything good that is taking place here? Yes, we do have process that is taking place. For instance, here we have our day 7, right? And then here we have our day 21. Do you see this is 7 days apart? 7, 1 to 7, 7 to 14, 14 to 20, 21. This is 21, eh? 21. This is 21. And then we know we have our day 28. Now, what is happening here? This particular layer is a permanent layer. This is non-functional layer. This layer is more consistent than the endometrium. The name of this layer is stratum bisalis. Stratum bisalis. Now, what will happen now is that sometimes some textbooks they will tell you about stratum bisal. Do you see the difference? This one has nothing to do with the menstrual cycle, this one. Consider the first one as this layer. Now we have the layer that will be changing and changing and changing. Now what is happening here? This name of this layer is endometrium. This is when our menstrual is taking place, people. We have our first day up to day 7. Menstrual cycle is only governed by 7 days. We know this particular 7 days is the days where we can see this cycle, only these 7 days. But what is happening within this cycle? We understand that for the existence of these 7 days, bleeding must take place, menstruation must take place. We must lose 30 to 40 mils of blood within human beings, precisely female, at the age of 13 to the age of 50, right? Everyone knows what color is there. Is the blood? It's red. In South Africa, to be precise. I don't know any other country. Now, the volume of blood that will come out on the first day, it will be high in degrees. This is blood. We say it's blood. Actually, it's fluid mixed with blood because of the result of tearing off of this layer. Now, we understand that we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which it will be day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6. Day 1 to day 2, the menstrual cycle is too high. The level of degrees of this blood is coming out too heavy. So we are going to day 3, it will be reduced now. Do you understand? Because this is a signal that we are not left with too many days before this menstruation stop. Now we go to day 4. This one normally doesn't feel a pain, but it's ladies who can tell that better than me. Now, do you see that things are happening here? Under normal circumstances, menstruation can stop on day 4, day 5. Necessarily doesn't mean that if your own cycle stop on day 6, you are not normal. But after day 7, we are not going to be speaking about menstruation. That is when now you can see a gynecologist. That is when now you can visit hematologist. That is when now we must give you a medical help. So on day 5, this is where now the cycle can be resulting in clothing. From day 4 to day 5, we expect to see clothing. The pads will be dirty, but because of the result of this clothing. But it's quite fundamental for this process to take place because this is quite useful for human reproduction. Take that into consideration. Now, on day 6, they can be minor cloth. So, as we have this cloth, we understand on day 7, we don't need to be seeing anything that has to do with this clothing. Now, there is a process that is taking place now. This graph was only detailing menstrual cycle. For this graph to go up, we need certain hormones, we need certain growth as a result of mitosis, we need certain proteins that must come and help us. So I cannot just from this layer and then just take it up. It is not allowed. Our profession, they teach us that each and every diagram that you draw, you must illustrate it. You don't put a diagram and start talking about it. You must illustrate what is happening here. Now we need something that can pull this layer to come out. You know, the name of this layer is endometrium. The word endo means inside. We do have endocardium that has to do with the heart, but in this state we have endometrium. Metrium has to do with the layer. Now we know that this is an inner layer within the uterus. This is your uterus now. This will be this layer, the inner one. Remember the outer layer, stratum bisalis. This is the layer that is more consistent. It's non-functional. That is why we can only put this here. And then this one that is more functional is the layer that is inside. This is where even the uterus can contract from inside. We call it endo because it's inside. Metrium layer. Endometrium, the layer that is inside, right? So I'm going to write it here for everybody to know it. This is our endometrium now. Remember, this is the layer that will begin with the cycle and end with the cycle, but there is a rules and process, things that will generate and help this particular layer to have a direction. Because now this was the direction only of the menstrual cycle. Now we are going to be focusing on the ovarian cycle now, things that are happening here inside. So each and every baby girl is born with 100,000 of these premoidal follicles. This will be like this inside, but they will be under the process of premature when they are here now. They don't have life, they can't do anything, especially when they didn't reach this age 13. It's better when they are on this age 13, we know that the cycle can take place, right? So, what is actually happening here? These are what we call is premoidal follicles, meaning that these eggs inside there are premature. They cannot assist you for now. So they need a level of growth. They need a level of nourishment. But where can we get that? Because we only spoke about the stratum bisalis, we only spoke about the endometrium. Where do we get what we are going to be, what is going to help us for this primordial to become matured follicles? Let's rather choose one organ that has to do with the encephalo. Encephalo is a synonym of a cerebrum that has to do with your brain, right? We do have what we call is hypothalamus in your brain. Of course, someone said now, I know hypothalamus is responsible for telling you when you are thirsty. I don't disagree. But in this instance, hypothalamus have a different dimension, have a different work that it must provide. Apart from you being thirsty, I know that. But here now, it has nothing to do with that. It is carrying hormones. So what is happening now? We do have hypothalamus, which is something like this. Hypothalamus. This is hypothalamus. Within hypothalamus, we have a hormone called G, small m, and then big R, big H. What is the meaning of that now? That's simply, now I'm not going to cheat you. I will write this in full. I can't cheat you. This particular GNRH, it means gonado. You see, this particular GN is gonado. The N on its own is releasing. This H will be hormone. And now the question is, what is gonado? Gonado is sex cell that you find inside these ovaries, that you find inside the testes. I will cover that when you do the male reproduction. But these are sex cells, are inside these ovaries, are inside the testes. Now, what is this now? What is this one? Releasing hormone. Gonado gonadotropins, gonadotropin, gonadotropin releasing hormone. Now, what is gonado? Gonado are sex cell, as I said. What is tropin? Tropin is a hormone that will trigger another hormone to be active. I don't know if you understand me, but this hormone is a messenger. It does not do work on its own. It speaks to other hormones to perform the duty now. Let me tell you what will be happening here. Gonado hypothalamus will release the GnRH, which is gonadotropins. The word tropins, it means a messenger, a hormone that will activate the activity of another hormone. Now we have releasing hormone. It will come down. Now this is divided into two lobes. We have what we call is our anterior lobe. Sometimes it's called adenohypophysis. And then we have what we call is our posterior lobe. Remember, we are not going to be talking about this pituitary gland. This is hypothalamus, physically connected to a pituitary gland, but within the existence of the pituitary gland, we need the anterior lobe only. We don't speak about the pituitary, about the posterior lobe today. No, we only focus on our anterior lobe. So what is happening here? Gonadotropins releasing hormone will get activated. Let me rather use another color. Will get activated to anterior lobe. Here in anterior lobe, there is two natural hormones that are here, but they don't have power to work without the attachment and the message from the gonadotropins. Remember, gonadotropins is a hormone that activates other hormones. Now, these are follicles that cannot grow. They need nourishment from a certain hormone. Now, for after hypothalamus is released gonadotropin releasing hormone, we know that these particular two hormones that we find there, it will be our FSH. I shouldn't cheat you. I must tell you what is this. This will be our follicular. The S will be stimulating. The S will be for stimulating. The H will be for hormone. That one you can never forget. These are two hormones that we find here. What is another one? Another one is LH. What is the meaning of a hormone written like this? This is luteinizing hormone. Luteinizing. Yeah, you see, this particular diagram, I want to cover the basic education learners who are doing grade 10 to grade 12. From them, I will cover the higher education, those are who are there advanced. Now, why am I saying that? There is complications of this uterus, there is abnormalities of this. So I know in basic education they don't cover that chapter, but I will cover their chapter, which I will just simplify this uterus, but also I will go into the physiology of this particular uterus. Now I'm coming. Now, when this one, gonadotropin releasing hormone, come and activate here, we know we have our FSH and then we have our LH. One of these hormones must come and assist in growing of these particular follicles. Now we understand that this particular FSH, because if this is ovarian, we understand inside these are primordial follicles. But we understand this hormone is follicular stimulating hormone. This is the hormone that must come and stimulate these follicles. So it can never be luteinizing hormone under the primordial follicles. It does not make sense. It should be FSH, which is follicular stimulating hormone. This particular hormone will come. Now think about a little tree that you have. When you put water, it will grow. And then sometimes it can change, it can start to have fruits and so on. So now in this extent, we come here, we know that this is our FSH, follicular stimulating hormone. From your mind now, this is taking place in your brain, this is taking place on your pelvic, on your lower abdominal structure. So just imagine the hormones, how quickly they can respond. What will happen after the stimulation has taken place? Are the eggs matured? The eggs are saying no, man. Uh, they are not matured, but they must go under a primary follicles. Now, from here, from this process of primordial, the FSH is not magician. It cannot tell things from primordial to mature. There is a process of growth here. Now we know that we are going to have our first growth as a result of mitosis. Now, people, you must understand anything that has to do with growth, we know it's mitosis. Anything that has to do with multiplication is mitosis. So, because of this growth of this, due to the result of this particular FSH from primordial, they will turn into what we call as primary follicles. Primary follicles. So, are they useful? The question is that since now you have these things from they have moved from being premature to be on a primary, a baby girl or a baby boy will start at crash, at preschool, and then go to grade one. Is that baby finishing school? No, not yet. There's still a long way to go. But in this process, only two components of process must take place. Né? Now we know after this particular nourishment, remember this is happening inside one ovary. What I'm trying to show is that this particular primary follicles is also still inside the ovaries. The difference is that they have turned from premature to be primary, but they are still inside. There is no eggs that will be left premature, primary, matured. No, they are still inside, but all of them, they have changed from the stage of primordial to a stage of primary follicle, right? So now listen to me carefully. The hormone, it's still stimulating, but remember this is happening here, but the hormone is still stimulating. So now there is a process that must take place now. When a child is at primary school, is that child finishing matric? No, the child must go to grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4. So from here we are looking at another step. Remember, this is a continuous nourishment, continuous process. This particular FSH is still coming. So we are going to have another one here, which now, if you can even look at the size, they will be bigger than those ones because this is a nourishment as a result of mitosis. What is this now? This is secondary follicle. Secondary follicle. This is still the web of this hormone. This is still FSH, né? FSH, FSH. Now, there is something quite interesting that is taking place here. Now, I want you to listen to me. When they are, as these particular follicles are now maturing, on the process of maturing, there is a hormone that they can also develop. Now, there will be a hormone called estrogen. on this stage, they will start now producing a level of degree of estrogen. Now, I will tell you what does estrogen do. Now, there will be a hormone coming from this particular two, going back inside here. This particular hormone is called estrogen. Let me rather use another color for everyone to be happy and for me also to be precise. We have estrogen now that are being produced inside these ovaries. This estrogen is going back that side. I will tell you for what. Estrogen. Just imagine how am I calling this? Estrogen. But look how am I writing it. Estrogen. Depending if you are in United Kingdom, in Europe, England, where English is coming from, or you are in USA, you know, I understand in USA we can remove this one. We can only go with estrogen as an E at the beginning. But now, according to most of the textbook, this is the correct spelling. But remember, this thing has to do also with just grabbing the right spelling. This thing of pronunciation, it doesn't matter. As long as you know what you are writing, you will pass. That is all I can say. Now, there is a level of estrogen that is being produced. Now, another thing that I can also give you is that another name for these follicles is oocyte, right? I will write it. Maybe you'll understand. Is oocyte. Listen to this now. Oocyte. Why am I calling it oocyte? It can help you with the spelling. The correct pronunciation for this is oocyte. That is the correct spelling for this. Oocyte. But I say oocyte for your own benefit so that you cannot forget the spelling. Another name for follicles is oocyte, oocyte, but actually it's the same thing, don't worry. So now we must continue with this process. Remember now we are here. Now I want you to understand we are here now. Ovarian cycle. What is happening inside your follicles, inside your ovaries, the process and growth. But there is this particular estrogen that is being produced. It does not only go back to hypothalamus, but is coming back to hold the layer of the endometrium to help it to develop, to help it to grow. How will that happen? As you can see, this is falling down as a force of gravity, but as a result of menstruation. So we need something that can come and develop it. How can it change direction from down here? This particular angle is a result of this particular uh, hormone. This hormone will come again. So as a result of that hormone, this is what is going to happen. The layer of the endometrium will change direction after day 7 to build up. You see, it has built it up. Why is this thing building up? This is the estrogen's work. Estrogen. Estrogen is a hormone that will come and maintain and develop the layer called the endometrium, meaning that this angle here is being caused by the estrogen, this angle. You see where this thing changing direction is a result of growth from estrogen hormone. Now we know that sometimes we call the word growth proliferative. We know that the word grow, it means proliferative. Let me write that down for you. Proliferative. phase. Grow means proliferative. That's why we have proliferative phase here down. Now we know that the endometrium layer was developed because as a result of estrogen being released by the secondary and primary follicles, right? So now, do you understand that now we are heading to a different story now? So these follicular these follicles are not quite matured yet. This is where now we are going to the final stage of this. We are going to say, let me rather just put another circle here. Now they are big, but one must be dominant. Must understand. This is a grow hormone, but it cannot overgrow everything. One of these follicles will be dominant. And then when it reaches this stage, we know that this stage is what we call matured follicle. Now, matured follicle, another name for this can be Gravian follicles. Gravian follicle, but it's actually the same thing. You decide which one you want to use. Again, there is a level of estrogen coming down, going back. I hope everyone understands where I'm heading. This is quite a simplified diagram, also with the graph. I have detailed the menstrual cycle is only from 1 to 7. I have detailed the ovarian cycle, which it will take place within the another 7 days. Do you see and understand the difference? These things they are part with 7 days. 1 to 7 is menstrual cycle. That is where fertilization can never happen. Conception can never happen. This particular lady between the age of, let me rather not use this 13 because these ones are too young. But according to scientific factors, they can be pregnant. You know, from the age of 13 to the age of 50, within these particular days, they can't conceive. The ovum is not there. It must still develop. So now, what am I trying to tell you now is that we are approaching day 14 now. We are approaching our day 14. This is the process of day 1, day 7 to day 14. This particular estrogen and the development of the endometrium layer. So it means there will say 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Let me rather make like this 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I will highlight some few days here because they are quite significant for conception. For those who are trying to go under this process, the process is not for everyone, precisely for those who are 18 years age. Well, I'm not talking about them now. I'm talking about now adults who are trying under the process of conception. This day I will highlight, and then I will explain them later on. Now, do you see inside our matured follicle? We already have our dominant follicle. What does that mean? This means that this is the follicle that the ovum will release. But now the process is complete. What is it that must trigger the activation of this uh, ovulation? What is it that must happen so that ovulation must take place? The question is simple. The answer is also clear. What will happen now? We go back to our encephalo means cerebrum. Cerebrum has to do with what? We're going to just pick one organ called hypothalamus. Inside our hypothalamus, we have two types of hormones. First hormones, we have used it from day 1 to day 14. That's why we call it follicular stimulating hormone, resulting in telling us that this particular area here will be our follicular phase. Will be our follicular phase. Why are you saying that area is your follicular phase? Anything that has to do with day 1 to day 14, we are trying to grow this particular follicles. Remember, they were premature, now they are mature. Now, this one we call it is follicular phase. Sometimes you can say phase 1, it's up to you. Follicular phase. And then here now, we are left with one hormone that we didn't use. Remember, inside our anterior lobe, adenohypophysis in our pituitary gland, we have two hormones. One we have used is the FSH. And then as a result of this FSH, there was growth in these follicles. When these follicles have growth little bit, they can produce now estrogen themselves to develop this layer. Now we do have endometrium as a result of the menstrual. We do have the layer endometrium as a result of the estrogen. Now the question is, how do we know or what is the good time to use the luteinizing hormone? Because one hormone is being used. Because of the egg are matured, we don't need the FSH on our next cycle. So this tells us that now we must use what we call as our luteinizing hormone. How, what will activate the luteinizing hormone? You see, this dominant follicle is the one that will produce most estrogen. This is a communication, by the way. When most estrogen is being produced, it will trigger the movement and the activity of the LH, luteinizing hormone. So now this one will go in high degree. This one is still what we call now is our estrogen. Our estrogen. When now estrogen has reached the level of matured, when these ovary are in the state of matured egg, the estrogen that will be released now on its final matured follicle stage, it will be on its high degree. When it's on its high degree, it will come and activate and trigger the movement of luteinizing hormone. But now, where is luteinizing hormone go? It can't go anywhere because the endometrium layer has ended here as a result of estrogen. We need another hormone that can maintain it. This one was a hormone to develop it. We need a hormone that can maintain it. So luteinizing have anywhere to go rather than to come back to these matured follicles. This is what is going to happen. Let me use another color for, let me rather use green. I will use green. This is what is happening now. The luteinizing hormone is coming now. Actually, I was supposed to be using the color. Let me see if I can. Yeah, I was supposed to be using this color here because this word luteinizing means yellow. I do have a yellow color. So what is happening now? This particular hormone called luteinizing hormone will come and nourish this. As the nourishment is happening, these particular follicles will be yellowish. But not meaning that if the body is yellowish and then the follicle can remain like that. It will come also to weaken or making the wall of this ovary weak, meaning that this thing will be here. Let me just detail it there where the original ovaries are. This is where it will be. It will come and weaken this wall. You see? If it weakens that wall, what does that mean? That tells us that the dominant follicle must come out. Look now, this is this follicle. If this luteinizing hormone will come in and weaken that wall, we know that this particular follicle will fall down and then the body will change into yellowish. That's the story that is taking place now. The luteinizing hormone will get activated because it was pushed by what we call as gonadotropins releasing hormone, but it couldn't be active because there was no communication of estrogen. It will only be active when estrogen come on its high degree to come and tell it that now you can come out. So what will be happening now is this now. These particular matured follicles, they will change. They start changing now. But before they change, this particular egg will fall. Remember, this egg will fall inside the fallopian tube, the uterine tube. They will fall. This one I must put two colors because there's something quite fascinating taking place there also. I don't know how a human being was created, but it's quite very much interesting. I will tell you what I'm saying now. Now, this luteinizing hormone will come in on day 14. On day 14, this luteinizing hormone will come and trigger the process of ovulation. Now, once this particular follicle fall inside the fallopian tube, it must come in. If it receives conception, it will come and get implantation here inside the uterus. This is where human being will be pregnant, to be precise, female. Now, with this process, we know now we are on day 14. Day 14. Day 14 is our ovulation day. Day 14 is our ovulation day, but the best time when this particular follicle will land on the inside this particular layer, it will be on the day 15. So now, let me go back a little bit with you, but I will not waste anybody's time. I just want to show you something. Those of you who are married, trying to go under the process of conception, this is the day that intercourse must take place. After the menstruation, you count. After the 7 days, you count. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. You know that the ovum will be released as a result of luteinizing hormone. But once it's full, meaning this particular follicle is a communication. It communicates with you that now I'm looking for potential fertilization. I can get fertilization. This is what this particular follicle is saying. This is what even the hormones know there is a possibility of happening. So it was documented that spermatology, let me say, sperms can last 2 to 5 days inside the human genetical tract. And then now, if it can last 2 to 5 days, which day is the best one for you to make intercourse? Remember, these sperms can swim for about 80 to 40 minutes until they reach the fallopian tube. But the question is, which day is the best day for you to make intercourse? Now, let's look at day 12. Remember, sperms have issues. Let's speak about your sperms that was not tested. You don't know whether it is fertile, whether it has mobility, whether it is a low sperm count, whether it has a sperm bed shape. So let's say you have a sperm that you are not certain about. Day 13 will be the best day for you to make intercourse. You know that your sperm will last at least day 14, day 15. The ovulation will take place here, and then this ovum can only last for 24 hours. Do you understand that? Day 16, this one now is losing life so that it can go under the 28th of next month, the next cycle of menstruation. So what I'm saying, sperms, let me tell you something about conception. Sperms, you make intercourse, ejaculation process take place, the sperms will swim as a result of mortality. They will come and sit on the fallopian tube and wait. There is no egg that you shoot at it while it is there. No, it does not work like that. This particular spermatology will go inside and wait. When this ovulation process, when this egg, you see, there is this thing that look like fingers here. We call them a fimbro. Fimbro. I can write it. Don't worry. Fimbro will be something like this. These fibros are there to ensure that this egg fall inside the fallopian tube, nowhere else. Now, as a result of this thing, we know that we do have people with a healthy fertile sperm. They can do it on day 10. And then that sperm, because it was proven that you can go the process of what we call is spermography or specimen. You go under a profession called infidelity doctor, infidelity specialist. That is when they can do the test on your sperm cell. So we know if you do it on day 10, it's going to be 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Day 5, they can last. Ovulation, definitely that egg will be here on day 15. It will be released in day 14, but on day 15, it is there. So do you see that if you know your sperm count, you know everything about yourself, you can release it on day 10. It's fine, it will last for that 5 days. If you don't know, you didn't check yourself, and then you really need a baby, conception for you will be the best on day 13 and day 14. Do you understand? If you take it on day 13, your sperm will last day 14, day 15. If you are a little bit certain about yourself, you can do it day 12. This will be 3 days, 1, 2, 3, and then the ovum will still come. So what I want to show you is this now. Now we have this particular ovary that the wall was broken, meaning that it was weakened as a result of luteinizing hormone, and then this one fell out inside your fallopian tube. As it is coming, it is covered also with other cells. You know, we do have follicular cells inside, but there is not much to say about it. But there is this one that I want us to talk about. You see this layer that is red inside or outside layer of this particular follicle. We call it this a zona pellucida. I will tell you the function of it. Zona is two words, né? Zona pellucida, not S, C, not S. Cita. Let's say, hopefully, there is a healthy sperm waiting for this follicle to come. It happened that it reached the fallopian tube and the accident called marula. When the spermatology and the follicle meet each other, that process we call it is marula. Think about two cars that are making head collision that will knock each other on head collision. Ne? Another one is coming this side and then they knock each other. That accident. But in terms of this particular fallopian tube, we call it this marula process. So this particular marula process will only allow one sperm to go in. So what is it that will cover that particular one sperm so that we know who is the father of the baby? Let me say the female decided to go under the conception or the intercourse process with two different people on the same day. Little she knew that it was her ovulation day. How can we make sure? Can two fathers make one baby? No, can never happen because my spermatology have 46 chromosomes. Someone else who will be my competitor by that activity will also have 46 chromosomes. The lady who is releasing this particular ovum, this particular DNA is carrying 46 chromosomes. That won't be a human being. A human being, we need 46 from the father, 46 from the mother. As a result of meiosis, 23 chromosomes will be removed from me, 23 chromosomes will be removed from the mother, and then the zygote will be developed in a healthy state. One child will contain 46. Necessarily, I don't want to speak about complications of chromosomes. We can cover that in our next lecture. But for now, We know that what will cover the egg so that it should resist any sperms is what we call zona pellucida. The word zona has to do with transparent. Remember, if this layer was not transparent, it cannot even appreciate that sperm itself. So it should be transparent so that it can appreciate the sperm and cover this for implantation. Now, the biggest mistake that ladies make after making intercourse with someone, they go the next day, they buy the pregnancy test, they test the urine, they think the urine will be accurate. It cannot work because as a result of fertilization, we need to communicate with all these hormones so that the body can know that it shouldn't go to the next cycle of the menstruation. So there is a hormone that will take place around day 28, whereby the division of the next cycle or pregnancy, that is when that hormone, it will be human chorionic gonadotropins. That is the hormone we check whether a human is pregnant or not. And that hormone is only active after 8 days 8 days of intercourse. I can make you pregnant today, that hormone will not be active because there were some activities carrying on within the cycle. But after 8 days, the hormone will be telling that no, the lady conceived. Remember, 8 days. Don't say if you buy that now, you were conceived yesterday. Count 8 days back. Now, we understand that we already have our potential follicle that is looking for fertilization as a result of protection from what we call zona pellucida. And then now that particular egg is actually coming here. Let me just draw a little spermatology for you so that you can know what sperms look like. This will be 100 million, but only one can penetrate. As a result of that one, these ones will not be able to get inside here because of this zona pellucida. This layer that is transparent outside, it will block these ones from also coming in. So this one will come out as a fluid again because they don't have any communication. They can't get absorbed and reabsorbed in continuous process like what we call is aqueous humor that has to do with your ciliary body. No, there is no communication of these sperms. When one has fertilized this and then these ones, they can't be useful, they must come back out. This sometimes can be a force of gravity. If they didn't do anything useful, they will eventually come back out. Now, we understand we are on our second phase. Ovulation has taken place, but now, what is it that will maintain this layer? Remember, this was developing this layer, but now we look for maintenance. What is it that can keep this layer smooth and straight? Remember, the potential follicle is out. As a result of luteinizing hormone, this body will change into yellowish. Because of that yellowish, this name will change into what we call is, where can I put it? Good people, where can I put that now? I can't see. Let me just put it here. This is the body that cannot be used anywhere. So this body will produce a hormone. I want to tell you what is that hormone. I will be telling you what is that hormone now. This will be yellowish. The word luteal means yellow. We do have it in our eye. We call it macular lutea. The word luteal means yellowish. So now, as a result of that, there will be a hormone that will be produced here. What is the name of this hormone? It will be progesterone. After the ovulation process, progesterone will be produced. What will progesterone do? Progesterone will come and maintain the endometrium layer. Progesterone. This is now a hormone that will only get produced when The eggs, remember now these eggs are no longer matured, are no longer on primary, no longer on secondary, no longer on primordial. What are they now? Because we are finished with the follicular phase. Now we call them corpus luteum. Corpus luteum. This will work at different dimension in all. So this one will produce the luteinizing hormone as a result of corpus luteum will produce a hormone called progesterone. This one as a result of FSH, it will produce a hormone called estrogen to maintain. This is the hormone that developing hormone, maintaining hormone, maintaining hormone. Right. So now, let's say there was no fertilization that took place here. This particular follicle will come and then nothing will be happening, nothing will happening, nothing will be happening as a result of day 28. This is where now progesterone will stop maintaining the endometrium layer, allowing the next cycle to take place. But I will also tell you what is happening there. Mm. There was no fertilization. Let's say it's this 13-year child. We don't expect fertilization there. Nobody does. But it does happen. In South Africa, it does happen. But we are not expecting it. Now, we understand that progesterone tries to maintain the endometrium layer so that this particular follicle must come and look for potential fertilization. But since fertilization didn't take place, since it was this 13-year-old child, uh, there was some hormones also that took place here. That particular hormone we call it is a relaxing hormone. This particular relaxing hormone, it helps this particular uterus, the endometrium layer from contracting because we don't want this particular potential ovum to be injected or as a result of a vigorous contraction that is taking place here. No contraction must happen. Think about someone who's going in theater, the surgery will be performed on that person. We'll call anesthesiology to come and paralyze that person so that we can work on that person when we finish and then we know the hours of that drug, how long it will take. In this case, hormones are taking care of that. We don't need the contraction of this. We need something that can be stable. We need a layer that can be stable so that this particular follicle can find the fertilization. Fertilization happens inside these tubes here. So what will be happening again here? We do have nutrients such as glycogen, but those ones will be not necessary for now. And then next month, if no fertilization has taken place, you see this angle, something must be happening. This angle, something happened. This particular angle, we know it was the responsibility of progesterone. This angle, it was the responsibility of estrogen. This angle that tells progesterone to stop maintaining this layer. Who's responsible? What hormone is responsible? There is what we call is corpus albicans. Corpus albicans. This will communicate with progesterone that stop maintaining that so that this can go into the next cycle because no fertilization took place. Uh, you know what? This video has been longer than I thought. I cannot cover everything in one lecture, but what I can say for those women who are struggling to go under the process of conception, we do have alternatives. We can perform the process of IVR. That is where we're going to fertilize your follicular from outside, and then we can inject the implantation right here, and then the baby will grow. Now, there is a process that people also don't know. There is ladies who are born without the uterus by nature. We can assist those ladies by donating the uterus to them, not the artificial uterus. We need to do what we call is the uterus transplant. We need to do transplant here whereby we remove a uterus of someone who is alive or someone who is normal. Of course, with the permission of the family member, of course, with the understanding of that donor who understands. And then the advantages and the disadvantages of you getting a new uterus is that a uterus can only be implanted into your body for less than 5 years. Why is it like that? The question is why they can't leave it permanently? Because remember, there can be rejection of this as a result of your organs and DNA not recognizing this organ. But we do have medication that we can give you so that this can be highly acceptable. The problem is with the medication that we take as a result of blood communication. That will have little bit of side effects. Side effects is that if we can keep this thing longer than 5 years in your body, and then the side effects will definitely damage your kidney. That is why I'm saying, come if you are failing to go under this process. Let's see what we can do. Let's see where we can help, and then we can normally help. The ovarian cycle is divided into two ovums. We have our left ovums, we have our right ovums. Someone asked the question, so how do we know that the ovum will come from left or right? We really don't know. It's only that 20 women or 20 females, the ovulation takes place in their right ovum, and then only 6% it will be on their left. But both these fetals will be normal. Another question is that now, what is it that can disturb this particular process? It can be contraceptive. We have contraceptive. This is where you will drink a medication that will stop the ovulation from happening. But now ask yourself a question, because the hormones are taking place. The follicle is matured, is ready to go out. It is a dominant follicle. If it doesn't go out, where will it end up? Because now this one that has went out, it has ended up in the uterus. It will end up as a next cycle. It will come out as this because this is not visible to naked eye. Remember, you must have scopes to be able to see that. So now ask yourself, if you are on injection, if you are on combined pill as a result of contraceptive, what is happening with this cycle that is taking place in your body each and every month? Because that one will come and thicken the wall. This one will come and thicken the wall so that the luteinizing hormone shouldn't have power over making this wall to be weak so that the ovulation can happen. So what is happening with that ovulation process that is not happening? Because we know once ovulation takes place, if this doesn't get fertilization, it's a waste material. It must result in this particular process again. What about you who keeping all these things in your body? How are you removing it? That is number one. Number two, we have a safer contraceptive that you can actually. I also recommend myself. I'm not a female, but anyone who wish to go under these things, they can go to what we call a fem cap. Fem caps, think about a bottle for a newborn baby. Remove that particular thing that the baby is sucking. There is something we call a fem cap that will come and block the skin here. Just after the vagina, they block it here, and then spermatology will not be able to pass up. That is the second one. The third one, we have what we call is the injection implant. This is the one that we put here on the female. It can last 3 to 5 years depending on how that woman behaving. It also will come and disturb this cycle from happening. And then we have a common one that people don't understand. They call it morning after pill. Let me tell you something about morning after pill. From today, you will understand. But I'm not saying anyone should feel guilty. Let's say you make intercourse while you ovulated just 30 minutes ago, meaning that your ovum is still fresh, is still active for looking to get the potential fertilization. And then you make intercourse on your ovulation day, you get someone who has a healthy, active sperm. The sperm will only swim for 30 minutes, 40 minutes to get to the fallopian tube. After it has reached this place, ovulation has taken place, and then marula process whereby spermatology and the follicle meet each other, and then zona pellucida will close, saying that the process must be only now what we call mitosis must take place from this to dizygote to daughter cell. Multiplication must take place until implantation. Now, you don't know that you are ovulating. You go under the process of intercourse with someone who have a healthy sperm, sperms with no issue. And then this process happens because this can happen within 2 hours. After this has happened, tomorrow around 9 o'clock when the pharmacy is open, you buy the morning after pill. There is nothing that you are blocking except from removing the fertilized ovum. I don't know what name we should come up with to call that. We should call it a lethal abortion, or what should we call it? I don't know. But you are removing now a fertilized ovum. That thing now is a baby that must only get into the uterus for implantation. So this particular area here, this area is your cervix. After your cervix is your vagina. And then we are going to have, should implantation take place as a result of growth of this being nourished by the progesterone and estrogen as a preparation for potential fertilization and implantation. There will be what we call as a mucus plug that will come and close here so that this particular corpus albicans, the next menstrual shouldn't take place as a result of women not going for menstruation for 9 months. Now, the question is that now, why some people don't have kids? This thing can be blocked, the fallopian tubes. Let me rather write that fallopian tubes. Remember, the word tubes can also uh, has to do with what we call it the uter, uterine, uterine tubes. This can be also uterine tube. The word uterus will just give you the direction of where the process is happening. We do have many tubes that are taking place in your body, but it's good for us to understand that you have the uterine tube. If that is where the issue is, we must go and fix it. We take you to a scan to check if these tubes are wide open, allowing the ovulation to come, allowing the sperms to pass through. Can be advantage also, or we can have fibroids as a result of growth here inside. That can also come and block these tubes. But IVF is there to make sure that implantation can happen. So it's the matter of knowledge for you to come and take what rightfully belongs to you, whereby you can get pregnant. Pregnancy is for everyone. So the next video, I'm going to be teaching about the growth of the implantation, what is happening here, what nutrients, what hormones are here, what is it that pushes the abdominal structure to grow forward as you grow, how does the placenta develop? I will be teaching about that. I thank you for this video.